What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Khaos Theory podcast. I am your co-host, Ivan Nguyen, aka Kinetic, and across from me is, of course, my partner in crime, the Refly King, the human highlight reel, Kenneth Chaos Villalobos.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Episode 3, man. We've made it this far. Happy to have you guys here.
It's good to be back, guys.
Oh, yes. And today's going to be a doozy of an episode because we have a powerhouse of a special guest here.
Yes, sir.
And this man has done it all. He's beaten legends. He's taken countless wins, both online and offline. And he's going to give us his scoop, his tale of the tape, if you will, and walk us through the madness that is Lockdown. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our special guest, Andrew. Don't call me Lockwork. Lockdown.
What's up, guys? Yo, thanks for having me on this.
Yes,
This is
sir.
awesome.
Best
Awesome
Strider
space.
Doom.
I haven't seen you guys in like 2 years either, so this is just awesome all around.
Yes, it's a great way to reconnect, man.
It's been 2 years, brother, since that event that we had at General Thrillers.
All thrills, man.
Yeah, pre-COVID. So what's been going on, man? What's the latest?
Nothing much, man. I just been playing on Fightcade. Haven't doing the offline stuff so much anymore, but it's been really awesome seeing all the new players come out on Fightcade. There's so many guys who are putting in work right now that I'm trying to give the shine to. You know, we have like X Prominence, Filth Nasty, Manny Fresh, all these new dudes.
The next generation.
The next generation.
the new blood.
It's the new age of heroes. It's in the title, and for that to be happening now in 2022,
It's kind of surreal.
it's awesome because we were all those dudes at one point.
Yeah, definitely. So the general gist of the show is to kind of go back to your origins and talk about where you started and your rise to where you're at today as a player, as a person, and all that. So for everybody who's listening, Andrew has a very decorated history with the game. He's accomplished a lot. He's had both his ups and downs, just like everybody else, and you're going to be surprised at what he has to bring to the table. I'm not going to say too much because I'm going to let the man speak and kind of give us his piece on everything. So if you're listening, if you're driving, just do me a favor. Relax. Okay. Close the blinds. Grab a DiGiorno pizza or something. It's a snack. Throw on your favorite Mike Usasui combo video in the background. Okay. Grab whatever Wen's Marvel shirt or hoodie, throw it on, and just get ready because you're about to be brought into the trap.
Welcome to the trap. We're all in it for 2 hours.
Yes, sir.
I got that meter on deck.
So walk us through it, man. Where did it all begin for you?
So I played Street Fighter growing up as a kid.
Oh, really?
I had a cousin who was really into Street Fighter, so he would come over and we'd play. He taught me how to do like Hadoukens and shit like that. But I never really took it seriously because as a kid, I was into other kid stuff. Like I played sports a lot, and I never really competed in Street Fighter. I would play with my cousin when he came over, but it wasn't really like that important to me because I could only play when he was there. And if he wasn't there, I would just play some other game that I could play, right? But then it wasn't until college that I got an MVC2. And I had experienced MVC2 at like a low tier level, but it was like in the mall. It was everywhere in the early 2000s, right? So I'd play at the mall, play like Mega Man and Cable and stuff like that. But I never saw competitive Marvel. But in college, one of my friends was really into what's that game where you danced? Dance Dance Revolution.
DDR,
What's
yeah.
that
Right,
game where you
and
dance?
and then I didn't have a car, so every Friday he'd be like, "Yo, I'm heading to the arcade. If you want to go, you can go." I was like, "Cool, I'm not doing anything else." So I went to the arcade, Nickel City, Karma Mountain Road, down in SD.
Okay.
And then I would go there just to hang out, and then there was a Marvel machine there, right? And on the machine there were legends like Genghis was playing, Crisco, San Diego.
Genghis.
San Diego had a really rich scene back in the day.
Wow.
There was like Genghis,
It's throwing it back, man.
Crisco, Tommy Woodland, like all these dudes on the cab. And I would just go and watch and be like, yo, what is this game? I saw someone do the ramen for the first time. I was like, yo, there's more to this game than like jumping and doing hard punch with Mega Man. Like, yo, what is this, right? And so I started playing. Obviously, it got crushed because at that time I picked like Spider-Man, Strider, and like Psylocke or some shit. And I just got crushed. No one said a word to me. I just put up my 15 cents, got crushed, and went to the back of the line. And that was that. But then on the drive home that first night, I was thinking about this game, like, yo, I kind of want to play this game. And then so at the time there were no Marvel streams. There was SRK, right?
Right.
And one of the dudes at the arcade told me, yo, check out this website called SRK. Like, if you go there, there's like all the stuff about Marvel, you know, just post up in the matchmaking forum on SRK if you want to come play and, you know, see if people will actually be here.
Okay.
Right. So then I joined SRK. This is like 06, right? And then I started going to the arcade every week and just playing, and people were just crushing me. I didn't win a single game for
well, not to interrupt you. So you joined SRK when?
06.
06. Okay, so for those of you listening, it's shoryukin.com, website with a bunch of forums. I think we've covered this before.
Yeah, we actually covered it in the episode
1. Okay.
Episode 2, actually, with Spartan 2 as well.
Were you a frequent poster? I don't think.
I didn't post. I lurked.
Oh,
I lurked
okay. I see.
I lurked the hell out of that forum. Because all the tech, if people did post tech, which is not very common, it was on that forum.
Okay.
Right.
Roger that.
And I was mostly there for the matchmaking. Remember that matchmaking segment where you post up? Because back in the day, you would post like, "Hey, I'll be at this arcade at 7," and people would see it and just roll through. So I used to check the thread to see when people were going to be there, and then if people were going to be there, I was there. I'd ask my friend or brother, "Yo, let's go to the arcade." So I just started playing, and everyone just crushed me, and no one would really like help me out with tips or anything. I was just playing this janky ass team, and no one really said anything except for Edgar. Edgar, Smooth Assassin, was the first one to believe in me. He saw me. He played against me. And he was just like, yo, that team is not working out for you. Like, you need to pick Strider. If you're going to pick Strider, you have to pick Doom. And I was like, Doom? What's that? Like, why?
Wait, so what team were you rocking? You were rocking Strider?
I was like, Strider was on my team, but Doom is on my team. It's like Strider, Cyclops, and whichever third. Because I like to spam the screen.
Gosh.
My whole style back then was to spam the screen with projectiles. So it would be like Iceman, Strider, Cyclops. I just throw projectiles the whole time.
For sure.
Obviously, it didn't work. And then so I was like, Strider, Doom, what's that? He's like, yo, it's a trap. Like, it's a trap. And I was just like, a trap? You know, and I didn't understand. So I started picking Strider and Doom without doing the trap. I would call Doom and throw more shit on the screen with Doom. And he's like, no, you have to trap them, right? And then so Edgar believed that he was the first to actually have faith in me. And he actually played with me a lot. And he would actually tell me what I was doing wrong, which was huge. Because some players don't just crush you, and then you're just like, I don't know what I did wrong.
They don't tell you anything to improve.
Yeah. He always told me, like, yo, right there, you should have done this, or like, this team is not working out, or you have to change your team. And at the time, I thought he was being like a jerk to me, like, well, I like this team, right? But then I picked Sentinel because at the arcade, all the top players I picked Sentinel. Like, there's this guy named Ray Bosto. He was from Temecula, and he had like, there was the first time I saw someone do a refly combo was Ray doing it. And I was like, yo, what the fuck was that? And then he's like, it's a refly, dude. And then so I started picking Sentinel on my team, inadvertently picking the team Clockwork before I even knew that was a thing, right? And then I was like, all right, cool. I would pick Strider because I like the only reason I picked Strider because I like ninjas. That was no other reason. I was like, yo, and I played him in the first game, right? I played him MVC 1, so I just picked Strider. I had no idea. So yeah.
For sure. And for those of you guys that are listening, Andrew here, he's part of a very small percentage of players that use a team that not everybody uses or has messed with. His main team is Strider Hiryu, Sentinel, and Dr. Doom. And if I'm not mistaken, there's only about maybe 4 or 5
handful of players. They count them on
players
like one hand, bro.
that have made some kind of an impact in the game. And I think that you share the top 2 with yourself and with Clockwork.
Yes.
So it's a little different, you know, in a community where everybody picks Magneto, Storm, Sentinel, Cable, all that. It's tough to go up against a team like yours if you don't know what to expect, especially if you've never faced it before.
Oh, exactly.
It's definitely you got to be ready to take some losses. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So going back to Edgar giving you critique, it's rare, man. Back then, the game brought out the selfishness in a lot of people. Nobody wanted to give anybody tips because there was a tournament coming up, or you didn't want to. How am I going to help you get better, and then I have to compete against you? I don't know, the following week or later on. It just didn't make sense. So for him to do that for you, I give him mad respect for that.
No, that was huge for me, right?
Yeah.
And then so that year I kind of like chugged along. I don't think I won a single game still out of anyone at the arcade. I was that bad at the game. But then
we all start somewhere, though.
Yeah. But I try to keep myself encouraged, because I was like, well, I just enjoy playing this game. If I'm winning, cool. If I'm losing, cool, right? But then my life changed. So I was in the Bay Area. This was like during break, right? I was in the Bay Area, and I couldn't go to the arcade anymore, obviously. So I posted an SRK in the Bay Area thread, like, "Hey, I'm in the area. Is there anyone who wants to play?"
I love this story, by the way.
And then freaking Chunksta writes back to me. He goes, "Yo, we play in the East Bay. Like, I sent you the address. Come through." Like, and he didn't have to do that for me. Chunk was a top player at the time, right?
Yeah.
Chunk
this is what year?
It's like 07.
07. Okay.
Next year. Yeah. Early 07. Chunk was a top player at the time. He didn't have to hit me with that, but he did. And I'm grateful forever for Chunk for that. And so I'm like, all right, cool. So I pack up my Moss stick. I go over to the East Bay, and then in that house, it was like Crizzle, Chunk, Anthonysi, Cable Guy, CJ, F Champ, like all these top players there. I had no business being in that room. But instead of like being like, "Yo, who is this guy? Like, why is this guy here?" Chunk was like, "Yo," and Corngo was there too. And then so Chunk was like, "Yo," like he introduced me to everybody. He's like, "Yo, he's from SRK," and people were a little bit like cold towards me, but that wasn't like dumb. That was like the old school mentality. Yeah. Like, this is new guy trying to like learn this game. If he gets good, that's one more person I have to beat in pools at Evo.
Yeah, it's exactly what we were just talking about.
Yeah,
right
exactly
now.
What you're talking about.
And for those of you that are listening, all of the names that Locke just mentioned right now, these are all players that were interchangeable in the top 8 rankings of tournaments, both West Coast and World. So he's not lying when he says that he was in a room full of killers.
Yeah, I know. And
it's got to add some pressure.
Yeah, for sure. And at the time, I was too inexperienced to fully fathom how good these dudes were. I was like, well, I'm just happy to be able to play. And I just played. I didn't win a single match. I would just get crushed by I played like Anthonysi. He just destroyed me. Crizzle destroyed me. And then I'm sitting there, like at the end of the night, I'm sitting like in this corner, just like thinking. Chunk comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, I see potential in you. I will teach you how to play Sentinel. I can't teach you Starter Doom. I will teach you this character."
Really?
So then Chunk pulls out the CRT TV, plug in the Dreamcast. He sits with me in training mode. He's like, "This is what you want to go for. These are your combos. This is how you move." And he pulled up every matchup. Magneto, all right, Magneto. I'm in. Push block me. Super jump out. Laser. You know, he taught me everything, the basics, because I didn't understand the more advanced stuff. And this is like everyone was like had like, I don't know, like back then you'd play Marvel and sleep right after. Like people just sleeping in the room, and Chunk was sitting there. All the lights were out. Dimly room, just me and Chunk sitting there for hours since he taught me how to play Sentinel, right? And I don't think I'd ever repay Chunk for that, because he was a top player that he didn't have to help me, but he did. Yeah, and then so with that knowledge, I was like, all right, cool. So I played there that whole summer, playing with Crizzle and Chunk and Corngo and Neezy. I like entered a few tournaments up there, and then I go back to school in SD, and all of a sudden I go back to the arcade, and I'm actually getting wins. Like, my Sentinel's putting in work. I'm like hanging. I'm not like doing anything crazy with Sentinel. And they're like, "Yo, this guy can play Sentinel now."
What happened?
Yeah, like, what happened to this guy? And then Edgar at the time, who always believed in me, was like, "Yo, I told you this guy would be a problem one day. And look, that day is almost here." Right? I was still like not that great.
Day of reckoning.
Right? And
but the improvement is there.
Yeah.
These guys are noticing that you're not the same player that you were a year before, 6 months before that. The evolution is happening.
Yes. Yeah. And as I got better, I was like, "Yo, I want to like stop playing at the arcade with you guys and join the sessions that everyone has." Because back in the day in SD, there were crews. There was like the Casual Cartel. There was like,
oh my goodness,
there was like the top player crew, which is like Genghis and Ray Boss and all those guys, and they all played with each other. And I was like, so like, how the heck can I join in on these sessions, right? But I didn't have a I didn't have a crew, and so I would just have. Basically, the whole next 4 years, I just played with people that I had met like at the arcade who also weren't as good, and so we couldn't play with the top players. So yeah, we'll just play with each other.
Okay.
So I chugged along. I went to Evo both years, 07, 08. I started going to Evo. I like drowned in pools in Evo. Didn't do anything, but I was there. I was just not very good.
Well, I had no idea. I had no idea that you were playing back then. When I first met you, I thought you were just barely coming onto the scene.
Yeah, no, I've been playing a while, but it wasn't like a priority to me because, I just didn't have a crew to play with. And I was like, there was other stuff in my life that, I wasn't getting much out of Marvel. I was like, the time I'm putting in, I'm not getting very much out because I'm not like, and like it's my fault, you know, but I didn't really take it seriously enough to the point where I was like, oh, I can really improve. But I did improve a lot, but I just wasn't seeing
the results
that I wanted. Like I went to Evo, and then I just like I drowned in pools after playing with Chunk. I drowned in pools, you know. So mentally, that was like, well, I guess I'm not meant to play this game,
Right.
So I chugged along the next few years, Evo 07, Evo 08, drowned in pools both years, and it wasn't until 09. Like I put the game aside for a bit, you know, and then 09 PS3 came out, and that was another game changer for me, because the community that I like wanted to be a part of, all of a sudden it was there, but it was just online. I met Ivan through online.
Yeah,
we met playing on PS3, and
yeah,
then
we did.
All of a sudden in 09, like access to top competition without all the politics of like, oh no, like this guy's not in my crew.
Yes.
Like without the politics of being in someone's crew or having like a crew of top players,
you suddenly had access to them.
It was all gone, and people just play online. Like I started playing against Ivan. I played against like Carlos. I started playing against Telly a lot.
Yeah,
and there was no like politics involved. It's like, hey, if you want to play, let's play, right?
And so, man, we would run sets till
we would be
till the morning,
till the break of dawn.
Till the break of dawn, man.
That was a crazy time when that came out. So all of a sudden, like my interest in the game came back. I was like, yo, I kept top competition at any time.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are, and they don't care who I am, but I can like lab stuff and test it immediately.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just like the efficiency of playing to me, like instead of having to drive to the arcade, hope that someone's there, drive home, like I can just turn on the PS3. All of a sudden, like top competition is right there waiting for me. You know, that's a game changer. So then it kind of brought my love for the game back. Like, yo, instant top competition. I don't need a crew or anything. I can just play. Yeah. Right.
There's two. It's funny that you say that. There's two different perspectives when it comes to that. Online did everything that you just mentioned, which was give everyone a platform to compete evenly. I mean, assuming that you accept the invite, right? But there are people that I can name a few that loathe the fact that online came into play because they enjoyed having the person next to them, and you know, you couldn't just leave the lobby, right? If you take a loss or whatever and go somewhere else. If you wanted to play, you'd have to put your quarter up and square up against the person next to you.
Right, that's true.
So there are people that are for it, and then there's people that just feel like that just killed the arcade scene altogether. I see both sides, because if you're a guy that lives in, you know, buttfuck Egypt and you want to play Marvel, online is your best bet, you know.
Right.
So I do like the fact that you were able to just turn it on, and I mean, I remember what it was like back then. The lobbies were just packed with people
every day, every night,
every single day.
I would even argue that towards the evening time and the nighttime is when the Beast really came out. Usually during the day, I mean, there's some lobbies there, but at night is when it really got cracking.
Like it was 24/7 back then.
Yeah,
I know newer players can't really imagine it, but anytime you turned on your PS3 or Xbox back then, it was like
somebody was on.
Stacked.
Yeah,
and everyone was good.
Somebody was on, and this is back when ranked matches actually were a thing.
Yeah,
you know, people cared about the rankings and all that. And you were hoping that the person that you lost to, you'd bump into them again.
Yeah,
you know, a little bit later on.
For real. And then
so then what happened? What happened? So then
I started playing top players online. Telly, David Lee, and I played a lot. Actually.
Oh, David Lee.
And offline, that never would have happened. I would not be like, hey, I'll come to your house or whatever, let's play. But online, he was all of a sudden within reach to me, and he would play and he would be super cool. Like, you know, on PS3, you can send chat messages. He'd be like, yo, that was nice, you know, good stuff. And then so I was like, wow, all of a sudden, like, I'm playing top players, and, you know, I feel like it's worth it, because you're only as good as the competition you play, right? So I was like, okay, I'm playing all these killers. I'm improving my game. Like, this is fun for me. I'm competing, right? And then at the time, I think 2010 or 2011, MVC3 came out, and that kind of changed things because a lot of people moved over to that game. Yeah, I remember those years are kind of hazy to me, but I was basically online from 09, and then MVC3 came out, and then it was kind of a lull. Like, Evo stopped being a thing. Like, it was still a thing, but I didn't go. Like, I was just like, well, I'm just gonna stay online, because it was full on like committed to the PS3 lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like 13. I don't know what happened in 13, but it came back, and that's Evo where I met you.
Yeah.
2013. That was a big Evo. and I wasn't even going to go to the Evo because, you know, I was content just playing online or whatever. And then Jatron and I got into this thing on the Facebook group where he was talking, where someone online. This is all like from online play. Charlie Gobbler, someone had said like, yo, this guy's a problem, talking about me, right? And then Jatron was just like, yo, I don't care who you are and you play that team, like, you can't beat me. And then so
That's right. Jatron's one of the main pillars of Regency Fun Center Arcade back in late 2000s.
Yep.
Rotron player.
Yeah, Rotron.
Yes, he picked Magneto Cable Sentinel, and
As
he
well
also
as
played
Matrix.
Team Matrix, Storm Sentinel.
Which is probably why he thought
Cyclops.
he could beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because me and Jatron are so cool now. Like, we're really good friends now.
Absolutely,
But back
yeah.
then, he
It's
was
fucking
like,
awesome.
I don't care. It wasn't personal towards me. He's like, I don't care who you are. Like, this team can't beat me.
The only reason why is because it wasn't up until you started taking people out, Clockwork was always the measuring stick. There were people that would try to pick up the team and use it in a gimmicky way or something like that, and they would always say, "Oh, you're no Clockwork." It was always Clockwork being the reference point. So he probably thought, "Oh, you're just another Joe Schmo that's trying to pick up this team." So he didn't really feel a threat, right?
No.
So then what happened? What did you guys do? Like a first to?
We did a 1st to 7. It's on YouTube still. It's still
Okay.
up there. I show up to Evo and I meet you. I remember walking to the bar and I was like, yo, I was kind of like, yo, what's up? I'm locked down. I like liking videos on YouTube.
Hey, what's up, brother? How you
Yeah. And then you're like, who the fuck are you? Right?
Who's this?
And I was like, I was with Nick Guy. So
What do you want me to sign?
I went to Evo with Nick Guy because I had no crew at the time. Like, all the online people I didn't know. I was like, I don't know who these people are. So I would play with Nick Guy all the time. And then so I was like, hey, I think I'm going to Evo. And Nick Guy was like, cool, let's go to Evo. So I roomed with Nick Guy that Evo.
I remember.
That's how out of the scene I was. Like, I was rooming with someone from opposite coast because my own coast, like all my friends that I played with had moved on from the game to 3 or whatever. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just room with this guy. Yeah. And then we actually saw you walking into the room.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was me and Nick Guy.
Yeah.
And then so I go to Evo to play that match. And then I remember walking to the bar room, like, people are like, who is this guy? And then people thought I came in from online. You know, like, oh, this guy started playing online, which is not true. I started playing.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I thought, oh, hey, good luck, man. You know,
good luck.
Keep on trucking. You know.
So I squeaked by that match, and I beat Jatron like 7-5 or something.
Nice.
And then on the footage, you can see like the entire crowd behind me watching, like, yo, who is this guy? Like, Roundhouse is sitting right behind me, like, not knowing who the heck I was. And then that's when it changed for me because I met everybody that I saw from online. Like, that Evo 2013. Everyone came out. I remember everyone came out to the Evo. I met all these faces, like, oh, I'm him online. But I was like, oh crap, I play against you all the time. And all of a sudden, I had a community around me of people that I knew. Like you, I met you that Evo too.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's kind of like all of a sudden, online brought me all these friends I wouldn't have otherwise had.
Yeah.
Right? Because obviously I tried that way the first time, and you know it didn't really work out. And that was when I met Pasadena, because I was trying to make friends. Right? I went to Evo, and then he was sitting in the corner by himself, and I was like, "Yo, what's up, man? What's your name?" He's like, "You know, Mr. Pasadena." And I was like, "Oh, you're Mr. Pasadena?" And
Did he really say Mr. Pasadena?
He said, "I'm Mr. Pasadena." And then I was like, "Oh crap! Like, good stuff, man." And then, you know, I started talking to him, and then we eventually became friends, which led to me playing with him in abs. And that's when I really started to like improve. Was when I was like, oh, I had these dudes to play with. We're all cool, you know. And I wouldn't have met him if not for online, because it turned out he played on PS3 too, and we actually played all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like, I know people bashing online, but I really got a sense of community from online, and I still play online, you know, because you get experience to players and people and styles that you wouldn't otherwise get.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How much it matters, I don't know.
It's subjective, man. What matters, what you're emphasizing right now is the sense of community and camaraderie that you obtained from the online community. And I can agree with you completely with that, because some of the best friends that I have today that I talk to on a daily basis, I have a best friend that is in Canada, and I talk to him on a daily basis. You know, we just exchange memes back and forth. So without the online Marvel era, I guess, where would we be without it? As far as gameplay and engine, I mean, that's a whole different story, right?
It's a whole can of worms.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. But
we can unravel that.
I'm really happy that you were able to find your love for the game again through the online platform and meet the people that, I mean, you're going to see Daryl later on today.
Yeah.
So it did bring some good.
It definitely did. You know, and I feel like people focus so much on like, oh, online sucks, and they're like, yeah, it does suck.
Yeah.
I never said, oh, I love playing online.
Yeah, no one has ever argued
I
that.
never said on PS3 is the best. I never said that.
Right.
No one ever says that.
No one says that. Yeah.
It's just like, yo, it's cool to have the game at your fingertips whenever you want, whenever's convenient for you, you know, and you can make friends through it. And that's it. Just I never took it too seriously, and that's why I think it worked out so well for me. If I lost online, if I won online, I didn't care. I was like, yo,
quick backstory.
Online. Yeah.
Just a quick backstory for the listeners. The reason why we're touching up on this is there are differences between the online version of this game and the one that we're used to for competitive purposes, which is Sega Dreamcast. The game, if I'm not mistaken, was rebuilt from the ground up for both Xbox Live and PS3.
Yeah.
So there were certain things that were added in, I guess, unintentionally, and things that were left out. So if you're a person who knows the game inside and out and you have certain habits in your gameplay, they wouldn't work out as well online. Certain things you could do, certain things you can't.
Right.
And that's why there are a lot of players, especially OG players, that don't like it for that reason. And if you play a long set with somebody and you lose, the easy excuse is, well, that wouldn't happen if we played in person on Dreamcast.
Right.
And in certain situations, I would be one of those people. I'm not afraid to admit it. So going back to J-Tron, okay, so you take him out 7-5.
Yeah.
Did you guys run it back? Or
We did.
Okay.
And he beat me that time.
Uh-oh.
So then I guess it ended up even, but then we were still talking about it for some reason. I don't remember. It was a long time
you guys
ago.
are still going at it?
We're still, like, he was saying that, like, because people were like, oh, like, this random dude came off the street and beat J-Tron. He's just like, well, like, even though he beat me in the run back, it was off stream. Even back then, like, if it didn't happen on stream, it didn't happen, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just cool about it. I was like, yeah, cool. We're even or whatever. And then people were, I don't know, posting about it still. And he's like, okay, I'll play you in this high stakes money match at the next major. And I was like, okay, maybe. I don't know. I didn't really care that much about it. I just went back to the PS3 and I was doing that. And then it turned out one day I was in town at the arcade. Like, I was at round 1 up in Long Beach.
Okay.
And I hit up J-Tron like, hey, I'm by your arcade. Let's hang out, whatever. And then we just chilled at Regency and played. And all of a sudden the beef was squashed. That was it. I was just like, just hang out. Like,
no tiebreaker? No,
nothing. We just played. Like, I just showed up to the arcade because I wanted to see, because I always heard about the arcade. And
Let's
then
run some games.
Yeah, let's just play, dude. And then we're super chill. We've been super chill since then. But J-Tron, like, having a competitive, like, kind of challenge in front of you like that, it really makes you grind. The same thing happened to me years and years later. Like, when I had a competitor in front of me, like Mike Infinite, and I was like, and that's when I was playing my best.
Yeah.
Like early 2020 when I, you know.
So you and J-Tron squashed. I mean, it was a brief rivalry, I guess you could say. Okay, so moving past it, we're in 2014.
14, yeah.
14. What happened that year?
Oh man, 14 was a good Evo too. We had a really good string of Evos. We had a team tournament that year.
We really did.
I'll never forget, Ken. You hit me with something. I was about to take a match off you, and I remember my Doom Assist pop your Sentinel up in the corner. And you came down with jab, land jab, rock a bunch super on Strider and do. Remember that?
I think so, yeah.
I was so salty. I was
team
like,
first place.
Yeah.
We were team first place.
Oh, yeah.
It was me, Ray, and Roundhouse.
Yeah.
And then Team Scumbag was me, Abs, and Pasadena.
That's right.
We got second place.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, in the singles tournament, you ran into Chris Schmidt, right?
I did run into Chris Schmidt.
Talk to us about that.
All right. So when I found out I had Chris Schmidt next, I didn't know what version of Chris. First of all, I didn't know Chris was in the tournament at that time. It's like I saw the bracket and I was like, "Whoa, I have to play Chris Schmidt." And
for those listening, give us what Chris Schmidt means to you as a player.
So
who is he?
I'll just say immediately my head went to, like, I freaked out a little bit. My head went to all the seasons beatings videos where I saw Chris Schmidt beasting and I was like, "Holy crap, I gotta play this guy!" And I had massive respect for him. I still do, you know. And so I kind of like took a deep breath, took a walk. I was just like, wow, I got to play Chris Schmidt. Like,
it's a lot of pressure. I mean, at one point he was considered to be the best ever, right?
Yeah.
Not ever, but the best at a certain in a certain time. I would say like 2008 or so.
Yes, it's around that.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I look over. So I was supposed to play Chris Schmidt in a few minutes. I look over and Preppy's setting up his camera, and I was like, oh crap, I'm going to get Preppy's website. Like, oh no! Like, shout out to Preppy. Without Preppy, I wouldn't be.
He was setting up He was setting up the tripod.
Yeah, and then so I have to play Chris Schmidt.
Was this the Evo that I was right behind you, just coaching?
You weren't really coaching.
But you remember, like,
yeah.
Was this the
you
same
were
one
definitely behind me, hyping me up.
Okay,
really?
I couldn't have done it without you.
You were there?
Yeah, I was
there
behind him.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so anyway, I play Chris Schmidt, and I'm kind of like, my hands are kind of sweaty. I'm like, oh my god, I play this guy.
Yeah.
Like, and in my head, I can't get all the videos of my. That was like 4 years ago. It was at that point he was 4 years removed from that time. So I was like, oh man, like this is gonna be tough. And so I chatted with him before. Super nice guy. Yeah, he was like, yeah, you know, I was like, yo, I'm stoked to finally meet you, you know. And he was cool about it, right?
Super cool, man.
And then so we play, and then I got bopped the first round, like easily. And to make matters worse, Dark Prince is there in Chris Schmidt's corner. You can hear it on the video.
Yeah, that's
Dark
right.
Prince was like
That's
saying
right,
like,
dude,
this guy
yeah.
sucks, like all this stuff like in my ear when I'm playing, and I'm like, I have to tune this guy out. And then my friends like Nick guy and then you, they hear Dark Prince going at it, and so people start hyping me up when I'm playing. And the second round, like I win pretty convincingly, and I keep it going for the next 2 rounds. Like he missed a bunch of stuff because Chris at that time wasn't really playing MVC2, you know. So the final round, I'm up like 2-1, and then Dark Prince turns to him and he goes, pick Matrix, and I'm like, I hope he picks Matrix because this MSP is freaking scary.
Yeah.
And then Chris and I got so lucky he actually listened and picked Matrix. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
He picked Matrix, and then I somehow landed some random super in the air with Doom, and I won that match. And you know,
That's all she wrote.
yeah.
Okay. There's one thing that I do want to say about that. A lot of people will say, because you mentioned it a couple times, you're saying that he's not active, he's 4 years removed and all that. If you're gonna enter a tournament and you're gonna pay that entry fee, you need to be ready.
Yeah.
That I mean, it falls back on that
completely
person.
agree with this, by the way.
If you're gonna cop out and say, well, I mean, if I was playing or if I was in my prime or whatever, that doesn't fall back on the person that beat you. If you prepared and you did the work, I mean, what else can you say?
Right.
A lot of people like to fall. I mean, we'll touch on that later,
I was
obviously.
gonna say, yeah.
But
We'll get into that.
that's one thing that I can't stand is if we're gonna run a set, or if I bump into you in tournament and you haven't done your research or you haven't done the work, then I don't know what to say.
It shows one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't know what to
Yeah,
say.
and you know, and Chris himself was super cool about it. He just gave me a handshake.
Yeah,
He goes, yo, good stuff,
yeah,
man.
absolutely.
And that was that.
As
you know?
as he should, you know, no excuses, nothing like that. It's just you take your L and you move on, as you should as a player. So, who took you out that tournament?
You did.
Oh,
Remember, it's on YouTube, dude.
Goodness.
I ran into you in losers. I don't know why you were in losers.
well, this is awkward. Josh 360
Josh
took me out.
360. That's right. Yeah, it was you.
Something happened that tournament, and I know that Ray's gonna hate me for this, but because he wanted to talk about it the next episode. But Ray was supposed to face, I think, something happened where they switched the bracket because it was going to be me versus Ray, and then Josh versus Sanford, I think, and they switched it. They said, "Oh, well, it's 2 East Coast guys and 2 West Coast guys, so we're going to switch it so that way you both play each other." You know, so Sanford ended up taking out Ray, and then Josh took me out. So then it was Sanford versus Josh in the winners finals,
I remember that.
and I was waiting in losers. So I met up with Ray in the losers bracket. I took him out. Unfortunately, I had to take him out, and then I beat Josh in losers finals to catch up to Sanford. But Ray was super upset about that, and I was too, because I mean, you don't mess with the brackets, right?
Yeah. It's a completely different matchup.
You just you play it as it lies, and,
Yeah.
and that's it. But it could have been a different tournament, I think. But
Yeah.
whatever. That's besides the point. So 2014 ends. Evo ends, right? Did you do anything else at that event? Any money matches? Any exhibitions?
No. I just, yeah. If I did, I don't. It's been a long time.
It's been a while,
I don't know,
dude.
man.
It's been a while. So what happened afterwards? So you went back to online.
Yeah, I went back to online. In between all these events, I was going back to online. Right?
Okay.
Or I'd play with Abs in Pasadena. And that was pretty much all I was playing with.
Local sessions.
Yeah.
At this point, nobody from SD. You're living in SD at this point, right?
Yeah.
All right. Nobody from the local scene is hitting you up for sets.
Yeah.
Everybody's moved on.
Everyone moved on.
Damn, that sucks, dude.
Yeah. So I didn't really have anyone to play with, and that's why even now, if I want to play, I gotta, you know.
You got to make the drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Wow.
Did you travel anywhere else? Any majors?
Nope.
That's just
14
online,
no,
right?
just online, dude.
Okay.
14, 15, we're all just like, Evo was pretty much the only thing I went to those years.
Okay.
But in 15, what's that arcade called? UGC. I would be going there every
UGC was a gaming center called the Ultimate Gaming Center. It was located. Damn, what city was it?
Panorama City.
Panorama City. Yeah. So it was a nice little spot that had multiple console setups. Nice little spot to chill at. Well, we had a lot of tournaments there, a lot of exhibitions. I think Chris Schmidt played Servbot.
He did.
He played there. That's the place where I had the mural, the Sentinel mural.
Yeah, that's right. That's a spot.
That's a
yeah,
spot. Yeah, and they tore it down, man. I think they got hit with like a copyright infringement.
Something like
that. And they had to not only close it down, but they had to scrub the YouTube channel. So if you look it up, there's nothing on UGC. So Jtron beat me in a tournament at that place in grand finals.
Really?
And that video's gone. So if you didn't rip it from YouTube, it's just
gone forever, man.
That's unfortunate, man. There's a lot of videos that are just gone over the years.
Time.
Side note, my set with Neo, our first to 15, it's gone. Strider 0, it got hit with a copyright claim or something like that, and it's gone.
Dang.
So did it really happen? Probably. Anyway, so you were going to UGC.
Yeah.
Anything notable? I mean, you've always been a really neutral, cool guy.
Yeah,
no issues.
Really. Yeah, I know issues with anybody. I just showed to compete, man. Like it was a Rambat season, so I'd be like, yo, I show up, I compete, and I hope I place high. If not, whatever.
Yeah.
No worries, you know.
Yep. It's always had a good mentality.
Yeah, so what was the next rivalry that you had?
So it wasn't until like, man, I want to say 2019.
Oh my God.
It's a long time because I was just like cruising by because I never really took it that serious. You know, I was like, I love to compete, but I'll play with you online. I'll play offline. You know, there's a tournament, I'll show up, I'll compete. But I never really had beef with anybody, you know. And it's 2019. So fast forward to EVO 2019. So Fuji throws that $100 entry tournament, right? Then
the high rollers, yeah.
Yeah. And then I lose to Tone. And then I get sent to losers where I have Mike Infinite, right? And then I never played Mike before.
Mike Infinite, East Coast player, picks
Rotron.
And
Spiral as well.
No, not Spiral. He picks Scrub or Scrub Clops.
I don't think so. I think he only picks Team Row.
Just Team Row?
I've only ever seen him pick Team Row. Anyway.
So Magneto on point.
Yeah.
Magneto, Cable, Sentinel, a Rocket Punch. He's an old school player. He recently started getting back into the scene, right? A couple years back.
Super old school, super OG.
So you bump into him in losers?
And losers, right?
Okay.
And I had never like played against Mike before. And his style, like Mike has a really unique style that threw me. Like he was really good. Like he's really patient. His Magneto would kind of like be near you but not really attack you. And I was kind of like, I never fought this kind of style before.
Yeah.
So I lose to Mike at Evo. Like he pieces me out of that tournament, right?
Goodness.
And then it was all cool. And then later that tournament, we go to the Salty Suite and I play the set with Mike because I'm like, yo, let's play because I want to like try to find out how to beat this guy. And then Mike beats me again.
Let me cut you off right there. So for those of you that are listening, the Salty Suite is a term that we would use to describe somebody who would host in their hotel room after the tournament or after, during the nighttime after the ballroom would close. And that's where you would have your money matches. That's where you would have your exhibitions. They called it the Salty Suite because if you lost to somebody during the day, you'd want to run it back that night.
Yep.
So that's exactly what happened, but I used it for.
Oh, okay.
I lost him in the tournament. I see him at the Salty Suite. I was like, hey, we should play. And Mike,
we should, yeah. We should.
And then Mike beats me again. I'm like, no. And then I turned to Josh Wigfall. I'm like, I don't know how to beat this guy. Like, it's just his style was so weird. And the tapes are somewhere like Chris Matrix has him or something, but like I'm just getting shot left and right. I didn't know how to beat this guy. Like his style was just weird to me. He was really good, and I gave him props. Like, yo, good stuff. You're like that was my personal demon right there at that moment. I was like, I can't beat Mike, right? And then so Bots 3 comes around, and then on No Frills, they're asking like, oh, like which West Coast people are you concerned about? And Mike was like, I'm not worried about Lockdown because I shoot like, the infamous line, I shoot Lock. It's like I shot him at the tournament. I shot him after the tournament. I shot him in the line for the bathroom. I shot him here, and that's like, I mean, that's true. I did lose to Mike, and then but at that point, I was just like, all right, I can't lose to Mike. Like at that point, I was just like, all right.
And it's that takes a lot of guts, man, for somebody to say the equivalent of "I own your soul."
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't personal. I never felt it was personal though. But
no.
In the game, I was like, that's true. He does beat me in this game. And
like people would say, and I've seen it. People would say that I own Sanford's soul, but I mean, I never said that. It's just the results kind of speak for themselves, I guess you could say.
And Mike's results spoke for himself.
Yeah.
I didn't have an issue with him saying that. I was like, all right, cool. That means I have to step up my shit.
That's
right?
right. That's
Absolutely.
right.
Like, it was all on me at that point. Mike had already proved he can beat me. It was like, all right, it's on me now. And then so prior to bots, I was like, I'm going to fight against Team Rotron. And then San Diego, the only Team Rotron I knew was Edgar. I was like, yo, I'm going to play against Edgar all the time. So I played against Edgar all the time.
Nice.
You know, it wasn't quite like Mike, but I definitely, you know, got used to that road matchup. So a lot of people don't know this, aside from the people who are in the room, but I played Mike second round of bots. And people, oh, it's Lockdown versus Mike Infinite after all the crap Mike talked on No Frills, right? Okay. And then I'm like,
so can you explain to the people listening what bots is?
So Battle of the Strongest 3 was a round robin in December of 2019. Bots 1 was Sanford versus Yipes. Bots 2 featured only East Coast players, and Bots 3 was the first time that they included West Coast players.
Nice.
It was a round robin. Everyone plays everyone, because you know sometimes in tournaments you can get lucky if you cruise by somebody.
Oh, for sure.
In this format, you know,
you have to play everybody.
You have to play everybody, and it showed who was the best of that particular player pool.
I remember that was an all-day thing, man.
It's an endurance thing too.
It took hours.
Yeah. It that was the most burnt out I've ever felt playing Marvel.
So you knew how much time did you have before you played Mike, where you knew you were going to play him? To do your mental preparation.
I think they just, if I recall, they called the match like exactly right then. I was like,
oh man,
Block versus Mike. And
no
I was
time
like,
to prepare, huh?
And then the night before, I'd been playing against Potter using Team Row.
Okay.
Everybody knew, because I remember when that episode of No Frills went live, my phone blew up like, yo, do you see what Mike said? Yo, do you see what Mike said? And I was like, yeah, I saw it. You know, it's on me now.
Yeah.
Right? It's on me now to like prove him wrong. And so I play Mike, and only the people who were in the room saw it happen, because the VODs got no sound on them. But I beat Mike at bots, and I pop off.
Did you really?
I said, I slammed the stick, and I'm like, fuck yeah, whatever. And I pop off at Mike, and the whole room was just like, whoa, Lockdown's popping off. But I was like, it wasn't directed towards Mike. It was more like a personal, like, I felt like I freed myself from this demon. Right?
Yeah.
I was like
got this monkey off
I like
your back.
Mike a lot. Like, we're cool, but I was like, I got this monkey off my back.
Yeah.
Like,
finally, retribution.
As you should, man. As you should. It's that's. I know exactly what that feeling feels like.
Yeah, but
the demon is gone.
Yeah.
You've overcome it.
Or so I thought, because that demon came back one more time, and then so I pop off, I slam the stick, everything, and people are like, "Yo, he popped off," and then whatever. It was all cool, and then later, a few months go by, and I'm like, "All right, cool, that's past me." And then Chris hits me up. He's like, "Hey, come over here and play an exhibition match versus Mike." And I was like, oh crap, like this stuff again, you know,
like going all the way back to the East Coast.
Yeah. And I went by myself too. I was like, all right, cool, like, man, I'll come out. And I went there alone, and this is a whole separate thing, but I go out there to play Mike, and there's also a tournament. So I'm like, cool, like it's a tournament. Like if there's a tournament and I'm there, I'm entering. So I enter the tournament, and I do pretty good in the tournament, like, because I had practiced so much. Like once Chris was like, hey, come out here for an exhibition match with Mike, I was like, cool, I'll do it. But then I was going to prepare for it, because the reason why I prepare so much is because I respect Mike as a player.
Of course,
if
absolutely.
I didn't respect him, I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever, I can do this.
Just show
I was just like, yo, I'm going to like grind for the next few weeks. So if you played Cable in SoCal, I was at your house, dude. I played with Potter. Like, I stayed overnight at Potter's house just playing against his Team Row. Shout out to Potter, man. I couldn't have done that without him, but he trained me in that match. Like, he knew what was going on. He was like, yo, I can't lose this. Especially when I felt like the whole coast was on my back at that point, because I was the only one. I was like, if I go out for West Coast and I lose, like West Coast lost, right? And it wasn't like a coastal pride thing. It was like a me thing, because if I'm that representative, I will do everything I can to bring my A+++ game. So I played with Potter.
Awesome,
the
man.
night before I left, I flew out to New York. I drove and played with Duck. Like, I was ready for that Cable match.
What more do you want?
Yeah, like play with Potter and Duck. They prepared me for that match. Duck used Team Row. He actually has a really good Team Row. And so I had so much respect for Mike. I was like, I'm not going to take this guy lightly. Like, this guy's beaten me before. He's proven he can beat me. I'm going to go out there, like, and just hope and just know that I prepared as much as I could. So I go out there, and then there's a tournament, like I said, and I do pretty well in the tournament. And all of a sudden, I'm in grand finals at the tournament. I'm like, well, I'm in grand finals? Like,
nice.
I'm such an unassuming player, right? And I'm in grand finals, and I'm playing Sanford.
Nice.
And I'm just like, oh, cool, grand finals versus Sanford. And the moment didn't really hit me at the time, because I'm used to like tournaments where, oh, grand finals, it's like, it's a small thing in the corner, a TV there, and then like 5 people watching. This is on a stage, right?
Yeah.
it was a big whole like D caved through this thing, and it was this whole production, and you know, and I was like, whoa, I'm on the stage, and I look out the crowd, I'm just like, whoa, I'm on the stage.
It's like surreal.
Then I look across from me, and Sanford's there, and I was like, yo, I'm on the stage with Sanford, and the moment's kind of big for me at the time. Like, it wasn't too big, but I was just like, whoa, like I started out as a kid who like would lose at the arcade, and now I'm here.
Yeah.
So I had to process that, like, whoa, like I never thought
it's a moment. It's a moment that you have to soak in, and you know what? A lot of people don't get to experience it, unfortunately. But that main stage feel, nothing like it, man.
Yeah. And
So what happened?
Oh, what happened? I got bought by Sanford. That's what happened. Like I lost to Sanford. It's all on YouTube. All the matches I'm bringing up, they're on YouTube. You can watch them. And also, an emote that I have on my Twitch is from my face after Sanford pulled this crazy comeback on me. When I'm like, it's called the salt down face, because I was salty. I was like, wow, not at Sanford, but because I had the match and I dropped it. But anyway,
it happens.
Massive respect for Sanford. He beat me. He was in losers too, so he beat me 2 sets. And I was just like, yo, good stuff, Sanford. I've always had so much respect for Sanford.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
He plays other games, but he still comes around to show love to MVC2, and that's awesome to me, right? So then I have to play Mike after that. But unfortunately for Mike, I was already warmed up for being on that stage. You know, I was like, I've been on the stage, like there's like a crowd there and everything, and I was alone. Like usually I'm used to playing with like my boys, like Ivan's always rooting for me,
Yeah.
or like Daryl's like talking crap to the other guy. But I was like by myself, and I was like, all right, so I'm gonna put my headphones on and pretend I'm playing on PS3. It's like pretend I'm on PS3, it'll all be fine, and it worked out, you know.
So you guys did first to 10?
First to 10.
Right. And what was the score?
I believe it was 10-5.
Oh man.
Yeah, I prepared a lot, you know.
So the work spoke for itself, obviously, with the score.
Yeah.
When you have a score like that, it's pretty much the nail in the coffin, right?
It's very definitive.
Do you guys plan on playing any future sets? I mean, I'm sure if we're in the same room or whatever,
yeah,
you guys
for
will run
sure.
it.
But there's no beef with me and Mike or anything. Like I credit Mike for making me reach my like top form in that game.
Yeah.
Like I remember 2020 that year, it was supposed to return to Evo, remember? And then if you qualified, you made it, and I was like, oh, thanks to Mike, I'm in shape, because I like was preparing for Mike, and I'm just gonna keep this train rolling. But then COVID happened, and then, you know,
Derailed all the plans, man, unfortunately. What's happened since then? Since Bots 3?
So since Bots 3,
because something happened where you started creating content,
right?
Twitch, YouTube, and it's been blowing up. What made you start getting into that?
So it was so there had been Marvel streamers before, like there had been BlueJ. Rest in peace to BlueJ.
Rest in peace, BlueJ.
Yeah.
There's a story about him I actually want to share. We weren't as close as him and all the East Coast guys, but for Bots 3, I like stayed at his house, right? And then for everyone who was there, I got there and I was really tired, so I like passed out. First thing I did when I got there, I threw my backpack down. I was like, I'm going to sleep. And then it was New York, and I'm from California, so of course I didn't come dressed appropriately because I'm from California, right? And then I'm like lying there, and I'm like, yo, I'm kind of cold, but I'm just like, I'm too tired to like stand up, so I'm just gonna sleep, like I'll just whatever, try to go back to sleep. And then BlueJ comes over. I didn't even say anything. I didn't say. He comes over with a blanket. He puts a blanket on me. Damn. That just kind of it just goes to show how awesome of a dude he was. Like I didn't say anything. He just knew. He's like, yo, this guy. He was always thinking of other people before himself.
He really was, man. I had the honor and privilege of staying at his place a couple times when I went out there, and the hospitality that he showed and the generosity that he had is just second to none, man.
I agree.
I'll always miss that guy. Love that guy. And he did a lot for us, not just as a friend, but for the community. He was a true pillar.
Yeah,
Once again, rest in peace to BlueJ, man. I have nothing but love for him.
One of my biggest regrets was I had been out there for that Mike Infinite match, right? And then the next day before I flew home, we were all just playing at his house. I was playing against Josh 360 all afternoon. It was fun times, you know. This is a month prior to COVID. This is a month prior to him dying. And we're just playing at his house. And then I had to leave for the airport. And so Josh 360, being the awesome dude he is, he's like, yo, I'll take the Uber with you to my house, and you can call Uber from my house to the airport, just because I didn't know my way around that well, right? So it's like, okay, cool. And then so the Uber comes, and me and Josh 360 like hop out there, and then I you know, when the Uber comes, you're kind of in a rush to catch the Uber, and then BlueJ was there, and I kind of gave him like okay, see ya. Like it was just like not a quick bye, because I didn't know at the time.
Yeah,
there's no way I could have known. But if I had known, like
you would have given him a hug.
I would have told him how much I appreciate everything he did for me. Yeah. And even though I was like supposed to be like an enemy from the West Coast or something, he treated me with so much love and respect.
Always.
I could never like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. It was definitely tough. And even when, you know, the last message I had from him was, you know, he told me he didn't feel very well, and that was it. That was the last time we talked. And when I had the opportunity to say bye to him in person, I just, you know, I don't feel like I did well enough. I just said bye and I left in the car with Josh, you know, and it haunted me. It still does, you know. That's something I don't think I'll ever shake.
Absolutely, man. Life is short, dude. All this petty drama that we have and stuff like that every so often, it's just not.
I agree.
It's not enough to, you know, to take this life for granted. I think.
Yep.
I think we're at a point now where we're a little bit more appreciative, and the fact that we still have this game to kind of bring us all together and all that.
Yes.
It's
There's still a big human element to this, and look at the relationships that we've cultivated over the years just because of this game alone and the passion that we have for this. So
it's true. Some of my best friendships in my life have been through this game.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. Man.
There's real stories behind this game, and there's real connections that we've made. So yeah, again, we're all very grateful for, you know, the people that we've met along the way.
Yeah, I'll never forget that guy.
Yeah. Rest in peace, BlueJ.
Yeah. So, and he was already getting things started with his Twitch channel too.
I used to be over at his house and I go, yo, what the heck is this? He's like, it's Twitch. And I was like, what? I had no idea what Twitch was at that time. And this is before this is before I hit go live for the first time. I had no idea what it was. I just took it like, oh, it's always there or whatever.
Yeah. And he was already leaps and bounds ahead of everybody in terms of equipment, as far as streaming and all that quality. He was a big fan of the what is the VGA monitors.
He had the crispy stream.
Everything was just top notch, and he was really devoted to giving the community top quality content. Which was always appreciated. A lot of people overlook it and they think that it's just a walk in the park, and it's not. As a content creator, it takes a lot of work and a lot of money to invest in equipment like
good
that.
Equipment. Yes.
Yeah, so it can be a thankless job, but there are people like us that appreciate that, and we always will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what did you start with first? Did you start with? I mean, the YouTube channel was always there.
I always
right?
had a YouTube channel. I uploaded stuff. I used to go to tournaments with my camera and film matches. I actually uploaded like some old matches from EVO 07 and stuff like that, but I never uploaded my own content. But you know, like I started uploading content because my whole thing was I wouldn't have been able to make it to where I was if someone didn't help me and show me stuff. And
For
so
sure.
I like the first thing I said on this podcast was I really like how there's new players now, right? There's new players coming, there's new blood coming to this game. This game is still alive, and there's still people who are finding joy through this game. And you know, like the whole thing about like it doesn't matter anymore. The whole thing about the filler arc, I don't really buy it.
Oh man, are we gonna get into that right now?
Okay, perhaps not right now, but the point is,
let's get into it. Let's get into it. The filler arc is something that I don't agree with the name. I think that the hot topic lately has been Mount Rushmore and a bunch of other stuff, and I think it's irrelevant. I think that the game has changed in terms of the meta, and if you're a player of the old guard where you believe in the golden age of Marvel and EVO all the way up to 2010, if you're a fan of that era and you disregard everything that we've done from 2010 to today, I don't agree with that. I think that if you really wanted to get back into the game, you would put in the work. If you're a casual guy that just wants to come in and, oh, you know, I used to play back in 07, I used to play with so and so, and you take a loss against somebody like Andrew and they say, oh, well, I mean, if you played me back in the day,
things would be different.
Well,
yeah, I've heard that plenty of times.
We can play Theory Fighter all day long, but until you decide to put in the work and get back into it, you're going to take these L's.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that, but I do want to hear your take on what you think about it.
I mean, I don't think that what was done in the past, I don't think the future, like the past is past. You can't change it. It's, you know, all you can do is move forward with the present and the future, right?
Otherwise,
so
you're just stuck in the past.
I think that like players who are doing their thing now does not at all take away from what was done in the past. It doesn't, because we can't change. Like, I can't go back in time with who I am now and see how I do against all these top players. I can't do that. What I can do is play it to the best of my power right now.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Like, I think that if you really love and support this game, you would want to see as many people come to the game as possible. Right. And go through the journey that you did, because our journey, we're here because of our journey.
Exactly.
We're all friends because of our journey. So to see all these new dudes come out and make friends with each other and like start their journey is awesome to see.
It's great.
And I don't think it's productive to be like, hey, yo, nothing you do will matter. The Mount Rushmore is already set. You can't do anything that hasn't been done, and nothing you do matters. That's not the right message to send them. And that's why I always try to be encouraging of new players. If they have questions about tech, like X Prominence, this dude has hands. Like, he's doing Doom and Infinite. It took me years to do that, and he's doing it in like weeks. And I was like, yo, the future is bright for this guy, and I'm happy for him, because I want the game to continue, because I love this game. You want to see new innovation come to the game. You want to see new players and the interactions with other players for as long as you can. Without new players, this game will die,
From a competitive standpoint, I just to add to what you were saying, it falls back on those players. You can't go back and play these old heads. It's up to them if they want to come back and test their skill against you. Yeah. And a lot of people don't see it as a priority, and it makes sense. Some of these guys are older than us.
I get it.
Priorities change, things like that. So if you're not going to be active or test yourself, I can't really take you seriously if you say, oh well, I would have scraped them back in the day if he played or something like that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
we're at a point now where we're just on a whole different level as players.
Right.
And I firmly believe that 99% of the competition back then would get destroyed by me, by you, by any of the top West Coast players. The problem is that we can't go back and do it. All we can do is do what we can today.
Pave it forward.
Yeah.
That's it.
So yeah, I'm with you on that as far as our accomplishments being just tossed aside or whatever the case is. Right. Yeah. It's just not constructive to the community that wants to get into the game.
I always feel like credit should be given where credit is due.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about, like, if someone is good, like if I see a new player putting in work, like I say, yo, keep it up. You're doing great things. I wouldn't be like, well, anything you do now doesn't matter. I would never say that to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would never be like, yo, even though you got hands, ultimately doesn't matter.
It makes no sense, man. And I see it happen a lot on Discord. On Discord, I see certain people go on and on and on about how our accomplishments are completely discredited and are irrelevant because everything's already been set in stone, supposedly. And I see these people get no replies, no words of affirmation like, oh, I agree with you. But they still continue to pump it out and say, well, Khaos never won an EVO when it mattered. He never faced a prime Justin Wong or a prime Yipes or a prime, you know what I mean? Like, it just goes on and on and on. And even though they're not getting the words of affirmation, the agreement,
right,
it's still being put out there. And you might have somebody who reads it and says, yeah, he's probably right, or he's right. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that, because if I don't speak up, then who else is going to? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when my name is being thrown into the mix or something like that. It's not, like you said, it's not constructive to the people that are trying to get into the game, or members of the current community that are like, well, yeah, I guess all we have is these are just casuals, I guess, right? Nothing really matters. Yeah. I've always been a fan of the first to 10 or the first to 7. Like when we play at Rays, it's always first to 5, first to 7, first to 10.
Yep.
Even if no money's on the line or whatever the case is, if you don't have a goalpost,
it's still a long set though.
It's still a set that you can still take with you.
Right.
So some of us have that mentality, some don't. A lot of people just play for fun, whatever the case is, and that's cool. You can take the game as serious as you want, but as a competitor, I have my mindset. And if somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, I'm trying to work on this, or I'm going to help you," because back then I didn't have anybody to give me the green light. And
there's people who complain that it's so hard to learn this game, which I agree with. It's hard to learn this game, but people also there's no resources for this game, which is completely untrue. I think top players now are more accessible than ever before.
Oh yeah.
Via whatever channel you want. You can pop into someone's Twitch chat and ask them a question. Nine times out of 10, they'll answer. Back in the day, we didn't have that. Top players hoarded their knowledge, but that wasn't a top player thing. That was a generational thing. It was that generation of players. There were so many players at the time. The player pool was so big that they're like, I can't help anybody out because that person might come back to bite me with my own tech, right? So it's different now. There are resources to learn this game, and I think creating content, like there are so many good content creators right now, like Gcon, Bill.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
There's so much content being put out there, and it's all aimed to help people improve. Like the stuff I post on YouTube is just like tech, right? It's just like, hey, this is an optimal sequence that like I'm not saving it for finals. I'm just like, hey, if you use these characters, try this. I mean, it worked for me. You can see how much it does, you know?
Yeah, my channel is just like random nonsense that you're not going to use in a real match. It's just, this works. Do whatever you want with it.
I think your channel really pushes the engine of the game. Like some of the stuff I see in your channel, I was like, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah.
You have top players being like, I've never seen that before in my life, you know? So there's so much good content out there, and players are accessible now. So, you know, if you're a new dude trying to get into this game, it does matter. You know, you can still compete in this game, you know?
Yeah, we're at a point where there's nothing to hide. There's no tech to hide. Everything is out in the open. YouTube is the biggest gateway to finding out how a character works or how a team works. There's plenty of tape to study.
Yes.
And
plenty of footage.
And as Andrew mentioned, plenty of players to talk to.
Yeah.
Plenty of experienced players that are easily accessible. And if you have a question, guys, go ahead and ask, because we have nothing to hide at this point. Everything's out in the open.
If you play my characters and you tag me on Discord, 9 times out of 10 I will respond. And my answer will be as good as your question. If you ask me something specific, it'll be a specific answer.
Unless you ask him who's going to win, him or Clockwork.
Yeah, don't ask me that. I'm so sick of that shit.
What made you decide to go with Lockdown as your handle?
It came very organically. One of my friends back in the day mentioned it as a joke, because you know, Andrew Lock, like, yo, you should be Lockdown. I was just like, you know what? Why not? There was never any like discussing of my name. Like, there never was. It just came naturally. And I was Lockdown from the beginning. I never had some other name. It was always just Lockdown.
Could have been Lockwork. It could have been
Lockwork.
It could have been Clockdown. It could have been
anything, man.
Clock.
Yeah, it could have been, man. Clockwork Jr. Remember when that was the thing?
Oh, the Clockwork
Jr.
I don't miss that phase when everyone had a junior.
Or the third. There was a Alon the third back in the day.
Oh my lord.
Goodness, man. So what's been happening recently? So you've just been focusing on Twitch.
Yeah.
Are you're still streaming on Twitch?
I still stream here and there. My focus has been on YouTube mostly,
Yeah.
but you know, I'm grateful. Like, so COVID was horrible, obviously. It took away a lot from us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was awesome to see all the players go online, not just to play online, but to create content for online and do tournaments online. And the pandemic was actually when I connected with Roundhouse. Like, we had always been acquaintances before. We never really talked all that much. I had a lot of respect for him as a person and a player. But once the pandemic happened, and we're just like, it started when, you know, we had this idea where like, hey, I'll train somebody and then you train somebody and then we'll have them fight. So he trained Jabroni, and someone else that we lost to COVID. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
And I trained Go for Broke.
Oh my god.
Go for Broke and Jabroni faced off on Roundhouse's stream, and then Alejandro
Who won?
Alejandro
won.
Go for Broke won. But yeah, so when we started doing that, and I commentated that just because like that was my dude playing, and I was like, yo, this is actually kind of cool. So me and Roundhouse started like throwing events like throughout 2020, 2021. We threw a lot of events like every month, and I was like, yo, this is kind of cool. So.
But yeah, it's exhausting, man.
It is, man.
It's exhausting to do these events all day and keep it running smoothly. I mean, your whole day pretty much revolves around putting on a stream and all that. It's funny that you say that you pitted these two players against each other. It's just, you can do so many things with Marvel, like as a freaking sideshow carnival attraction. When I was up in New York, Chris made I was playing against Josh, and Chris Matrix was like, hold on, we're gonna start a match, and you guys are gonna wave dash against each other, and whoever messes up first loses. So Josh and I are both picking Magneto on point, and Chris is like, all right, 3, 2, 1, click, 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 and I fuck up obviously. But and then we just started doing random things like, okay, my 3 Magnetos versus his 3 Iron Men.
Yeah.
No guard breaks. Just you kill a character, the other one comes in, and then you go from there. 3 Sentinels versus 3 Magneto. Like we just did a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah, you can always bend the rules of the game to suit whatever sideshow purposes you want. Like Roundhouse and I threw a tournament with a full screen start. I don't know who watched that tournament, but we did one. Roundhouse was like, no,
I remember that
full screen start, and I was
Yes.
like, are you sure about that? He was just like, yeah.
There was a name for it. There was a name for it. You guys had like a gimmicky name for it. I forgot.
Lucky Dude. It might have been that one. Roundhouse, when he listens, he'll be like, no, gee, it was this one. But yeah, and I was like, all right, Roundhouse, if you're sure you want to do that. And then we had to yell at the players, like, first full screen start, because it's your habit to walk up. And and it hasn't happened since then. Thank goodness.
I remember. Shout outs to Roundhouse for putting out the content. The pandemic really forced people to be more creative with this. Yeah. I mean, staying at home and all that, it just we had no other option but to find out how to optimize the online platform. So it worked out for him. He's still putting out matches.
He keeps us entertained, and he's so consistent, man. That's one of the hardest things to do, is be consistent. And every night, man, shout outs to him.
Always.
Dude, tell me about it. On YouTube, I have about maybe 5 videos on deck at a time. So when the last one starts coming up, I always feel the pressure, like, oh my God, I gotta record.
Put out some more.
I have to put out some more. It's almost like a second job.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not at the point where I can monetize just yet, but it's tough, man. I'm at 174 videos, I think, now on YouTube, and they're all like 30-second, 50-second clips.
Yeah.
But
shorts, basically.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where I've lost track of all the past videos. Like I'll record something, and then I'll watch it. I'll watch it again. Like, oh, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, that's good.
And then I'll upload it, and then a week later, it's just, what did I put out last week? I totally forgot. But the community eats it up, you know. And I mean, take it for what it's worth. If you feel like it's useful, great. If not, then whatever. But
it's out there. That's what matters.
But channels like yours that show matchups, little intricate details of the matchup. Somebody who's like ex-prominence, who's using your team, they're going to look at that and say, wow, that works.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, if you're not put in that situation, you're not going to know how to react to it. A lot of people don't know that you can jump out of certain things or hit a button at a certain point. They're just going to stand there and block or do something. I don't know. And if you see it on tape, then
cancel too.
Yeah, it opens your mind to these new things.
Yeah.
So content creators, shout outs to everybody, man. Gcon putting out those tutorials. Man. Sentinel, dude, good stuff, man.
The fundamentals.
It's great stuff.
Yep.
A lot of times when new players ask me about stuff like that, I just send them over there. It's like, Gcon made a series, go watch it. So shout out to him, man, doing great things.
Yeah, I mean, wish we had something like that back then. They would actually walk you through the fundamentals then.
I do remember seeing a few tutorials back then, but it was nothing as detailed as what he put out.
Yeah.
Twitch having the live capability of people, typing in the chat and you be able to answer questions in real time,
and interact in real time. Yeah.
If we had that back then, oh man.
Yeah,
it would have been incredible.
Back then, you had to find the top player, walk up to the top player, and ask them
in person.
In person, and be like, "Hey, what's up? My name is."
Hope that they would be conducive to you, and
yeah, exactly. But now it's just, like I said, top players now, for the most part, are more approachable than ever.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you're a new guy starting out, you have the resources. You have 20+ years of resources of videos on Zach D and YouTube or whatever. You have access to top players and Discord and streams, so make the most of it.
There was a time where I could not get a hold of Magnetro for a long time. Magnetro is a content creator that's in a league of his own in terms of Marvel content. And back then he was putting out he's always been putting out godlike content, right?
Yeah.
But back then I remember if I would see him in person, I would ask him. It was like he didn't really know how to explain things to me because he already had his own rhetoric, like his own language on how to do things. So to a guy like me, I would ask, hey, I have this idea. Does it work? And when he saw how advanced it was, or that it was something a little bit out of the ordinary, he would put it to the test using his programmable pad. And then that's how we exchanged numbers. And he would hit me up and say, hey, I tried it. Doesn't work. Or it does work, but you have to do this. And it would be something that's you can't even do manually. You know what I mean? So I would just toss it out the window. Okay, never mind then.
That's so sick.
But now through the use of Discord, exchanging videos through DMs and hey, look at this work like the Strider Infinite.
Yeah.
It's just, dude, it's crazy to see how far we've come with this.
Yeah.
Communication's always been key, and I feel now as a whole, as a community, I feel like we have better communication, better relationships. It's not like before where everybody was kind of the cliques and the crews and all that. I think we're more cohesive now.
Yeah.
As a community. So that makes me happy.
Absolutely, man.
It's great to see, man.
Not to say that there haven't been bumps in the road, right? Because I
for
know
sure.
you've had a couple of thorns in your side over the years.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
maybe not.
but we always do, man. You always have those bad apples. It's unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah. So what's next? Anything coming up?
Well, you know, there are tournaments happening. Like, so you're going out to New York next month. I'm thinking about Texas Showdown. I'm ready to I'm ready to get off the fight gate and come out. I don't know what I'm going to, but Evo apparently has something planned for MVC2.
Nothing announced yet, right?
No announced yet, but
okay.
But Rick did say stay tuned.
He did
so
say
let's
stay
just
tuned,
hold our breath for that. But I've been enjoying playing offline here and there. So there's that.
Texas Showdown, I think, would be good. I'm not sure who's going to that, but just to put yourself in that environment, I think would be good.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, I'm going to be in New York next month in April for the Chris Matrix event. It's an invitational. We're going to be streaming. I'll post up the links. We're going to be having a tournament out there as well. It's going to be live streamed. So I'll post it up on all my social media accounts so you guys can tune in. It should be an absolute barn burner of an event. I haven't competed in a while, so I'm actually kind of nervous because in a tournament setting, dude, anything could happen.
Yeah,
I could run into a random MSP or something like that, and they might take me out. Who knows? But I'm excited. I'm pumped up.
Is MSP the most stressful team for you to fight in?
It is. It's always been. It's always been
man.
because of the MSS versus MSP matchup. People have always ran to MSP to counterpick. So luckily now I have my Team Matrix in the back pocket. I think that it's a little bit stronger than my MSS now. So we'll see how I do out there. If I play somebody like G-Con or Josh Wickfall, I'll pick Matrix. I used to run to the MSP mirror match. Sometimes it would work out. Yeah, sometimes it would work out and sometimes it wouldn't. It's just
a dice roll.
Yeah.
It's a dice roll.
Yeah, like if I get snapped in with Psylocke, I don't know what to do, man. I'm not used to playing with assist characters on point.
Dude, I'm the same way, man. I was trying to run Strider Sentinel Commando for a while. Death Wish. Because I liked what he was doing with it. You know, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, you teleport call Commando and it blows you from the other side. Or, like, he counter calls your assists, and as your assist is falling, he'll do the orbs and teleport and catch your assist. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But then I just hated using Commando. Because when Doom gets snapped in, Doom is an actual character. I can fight with Doom, a foot dive out of the guard break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Know. But with Commando, he's just kind of helpless.
It's a sitting duck.
I think 3-character teams just come more naturally to me.
I
personally,
completely agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Team Combo Fiend, ultimate 3-character team.
Yeah,
just from MSS.
It's my favorite team, man.
Everybody has their preference.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, what made you go with that team instead of you've never wanted to pick? I thought you were messing with Storm for a little bit.
I was playing Storm at one point. So in the pandemic, I was kind of bored. You know, I'm like, I'm Strider, and a lot of it was people complaining because I always felt when people play me, I get all the good parts of the matchup. Like, I learned how to fight all the top teams, and they learn how to fight against Strider. Like, oh, this is not helping me. Like, when am I ever gonna fight against this character? So I'm like, yeah, you know, I might pick up Storm. You know,
because it's not. I mean, you don't have any pocket teams, right?
I don't have any pocket teams. Like, if you play me, I'll either pick my team or my pocket team is Andy Doom's team.
Really?
Andy Doom's team is fun, dude. Shout out to Andy. That's a fun team. I thought that team was kind of janky, but if you really think about it, that is the best team for Sentinel in the game.
He picks Dr. Doom, Sentinel, Commando.
Yeah. Right. But Sentinel on point with Commando and Doom assist.
Two godlike assists.
Here's why it works. It's the circle of assist. The assist that beat Dr. Doom lose to Commando, right? So if Psylocke beats Doom, Psyche beats Doom, but you have Commando for the counter call. So it's a constant mind game of like which assist will Sentinel call.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. So I stopped thinking of it as a Doom team and started thinking of a Sentinel team. So if I play, I start Sentinel just because.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's
more optimal that way.
Optimal that way. You can start Doom and fish for Vietnam's favorite. I don't know how Andy starts Doom and
Vietnam's
What are you talking
favorite.
about? What is Vietnam's favorite?
So Vietnam's favorite is a term.
Wait, hold on. Vietnam's favorite is
So
Doom Super into Hyper Sentinel
yeah.
Force.
So Vietnam's favorite is
instead of America's
yeah,
favorite.
yeah, absolutely.
Vietnam's favorite.
It's a term that I coined.
Shout out
Couple
to
years
my Viet
ago.
people out there.
What have we done?
So it's a term I coined because Andy and I both use that, and we're both Vietnamese, right? So it's like, hey, the Vietnam's favorite. I just started saying it, and then it caught on. So
I'm dying, bro.
I'm happy that shit caught on because I think it's catchy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what we need to call it from here on out.
You guys
That's a
heard-
thing.
You heard it here first.
You heard
guys.
it here, guys. It's Vietnam's favorite.
Vietnam's favorite.
Wow. Wow.
You
Shout
also
outs
have
to
the-
Andy. And he's another guy that really flourished when he started playing online.
Right.
I feel like as a local player, as an offline player, he had peaked a little bit.
Yeah.
And once he got exposed to online, he just started hitting new levels, and you
Yeah.
can see it. You can see it in his gameplay. And I think that now he has the edge over Roundhouse as far as head-to-head rivalry.
Yeah.
I think he has the edge now.
Yeah.
Where before you would see them exchanging sets and all that. I mean, I don't know if they're still playing, but from the last time that I tuned in, he kind of had the edge
Yeah.
over Roundhouse.
I saw Andy hit a fast flight combo with Commando the other day. I like rubbed my eyes. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, dude. He did like, because usually Andy would just do launch 1, 2, 3, 4 first rocket punch, and it hits at a weird angle. Like a
Yeah.
rocket punch hits like downwards or something. I'm like, okay, whatever works, dude. But then he like landed the air to air confirm, and he did like fierce punch, rocket punch. I was like, Andy got those now, and I was happy
Wow.
for him, man. Like,
Yeah.
Upgrades.
yeah, because I think the efficiency of playing online, you turn on your PS3, you play online. There's no need to travel. Like traveling to the arcade, what that's like an hour maybe. So
Could be,
any
yeah.
time you could have to just play, all that time is going towards playing, and then you're done. Just turn it off, and you know.
And one thing I've always noticed about Andy, even before he started playing online, is his mentality. Do you guys remember that money match he had against at Evo? He had a money match against was it Desmond? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember when he played Ray and he popped
Well, he did that too.
Adderall. A lot of people don't know that.
He did that too.
Popped Adderall and then he played Ray like at freaking 200%. Ray probably looked like he was at you know YouTube when you set the playback speed at 50%. That son of a gun. Hey, but there's no rules against that, I guess.
Yeah, Andy's always had like a very solid mentality. But when I would see, one of the biggest things was he wasn't easily intimidated.
No.
He could
Yeah.
play very well under a lot of pressure.
It's true. I mean, performance enhancing drugs aside, he's always been very composed
Yes.
in high pressure situations.
Yes. That's something
And
I've
he's
noticed right away.
He's the only guy that I know that can hit unblockable laser on incoming sentinel
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who is this guy?
I would see him do it at AA all the time. When
Yeah.
he would just land unblockables on scent, which is, guys, if you guys don't know, it's one of the hardest unblockables to land.
I don't think I've hit that ever in my life.
I did it a few times, but I mean, I can't do it anywhere near consistency where Andy does it.
Yeah.
Right. And there's different kinds of pressure environments. There's the arcade, obviously the cabinet.
Correct.
You have the console set up with people all around you. You have the hecklers right in your ear.
Yeah.
And then there's the main stage. And I think that Andy could do very well on the main stage.
I agree.
Because he's so used to just putting money on the line.
Yes.
Consistently
Yes.
that I think that if he had a high profile matchup against I'm going to use Sanford, right? Sanford is like the go-to, right? I think that he would do very well.
Yeah.
Now, I think we live in the age of playing against your opponent, not playing against the characters, which is why it takes, for me personally, it takes a while to adjust to the player, because I'm used to the matchup so well, but people use it in different ways.
Right.
So I can't really 10-0 somebody off the bat until I get to know their habits and their, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why in the tournament setting, anything can happen in a first to 3 or something
For
like
sure.
that.
And just because you're used to fighting that team, like one of the greatest things about this game to me is that you take two separate players with the same team, they play it way different.
Oh yeah.
Like
Right.
look at how Neo plays Thrax compared to how Dez plays Thrax. Opposite ends of the spectrum, but it's just somehow the same team, right?
Yeah.
Abs is another one.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like the game engine is so fluid and limitless that you can play really however you choose to play or move however you choose to move, as long as your hands can keep up, right? So I do think that playing the matchup and not playing the player rather than playing the matchup is like the highest level of this game. Once you understand how to do that, like I didn't really understand it when I was like starting out, because I would just watch tape and be like, oh, I'm just I'll X copy this. But when you're playing Strider or any character really, a lot of the way that you keep them in the perfect trap is by observing what they're doing as a player. Like matchup aside, like you pay attention to their tendencies. Right?
Obviously.
Like, is he mashing?
Right.
Is he a masher? Does he like holding up? Does he mash his assist? Does he mash alpha counter? Does he just sit there? What does he do? Once you kind of evaluate how he likes to behave in the trap or when he's not in the trap, it's much easier to beat him. Once you're okay, so like some players I play just mash push block, in which case I just go straight for the legs every time.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's not really a team thing. That's like a player specific thing.
Absolutely.
And I noticed from playing you do the same thing. I remember playing you all the time. You would know I hold up. So you just jab me all day.
Yeah.
That's like a Lockdown specific thing where I hold up. I'm like, all right, this guy knows.
Absolutely.
You know?
But I mean, that takes time. That takes time, unless you can pick it up on it right away.
Right.
Like Neo would always say, you know, as soon as the download is complete, you're done. But that can take time. You know what I mean? That's why you always have to switch it up if you have a long set against somebody.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask.
Give them different looks.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask. Clockwork being the measuring stick back then in the early to late 2000s, I guess. Is there anything that you picked up from him that you still implement today?
Yeah, man. Clockwork. So Clockwork is a huge inspiration on me. So the two biggest Strider Doom players I watched a lot of were Killer Kai and Clockwork.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Killer Kai. So Killer Kai was actually the first time I watched like.
That's right.
So the first video I watched when someone told me to pick Strider was Doom. I don't remember who it is. I'm sorry, but they said pick Doom. It must have been Edgar or something. And then I saw this video of Killer Kai. It was him, Dark Prince, and some other dude on the team, and they're playing against Yipes, Smooth Viper, and Joshua Wigfall. And then Dark Prince and the other dude had lost, and it was Killer Kai alone versus all three of the East Coast, and he beat them all.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
I totally forgot that Killer Kai was a
Strider, right? So I saw that video.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Actually.
Killer Kai, man, he was a big deal. So actually, there's three: Devil X, Clockwork, and
Devil
Kai.
X.
Yeah.
Devil X is a super OG.
Yeah, I knew Devil X.
Devil X helped me a lot when I was a noob.
Oh, I totally forgot about that guy, dude.
Because he would post on all these strats and tech on SRK, and it helped me out, right?
Yeah.
So even to this day, every time we see him, like, yo, like this dude helped me out. But yeah, Clock. So what's awesome about Clock is that he has a really good understanding of player tendencies, right? Every time I talk to Clock, he's just like, all the tips he gives me, like if I ask for, like if I'm talking about a certain matchup, he's like, well, you have to observe what they're doing. Like if, like for instance, he told me like, if I play against Duck, for instance, Duck doesn't panic in the trap, right? He just kind of sits there because he knows meter will run out if I don't hit him. So he just focuses on blocking everything, blocks my stuff, waits for me to mess up, shoots me, right? And I was telling Clock about like how it's hard to deal with Duck doing that. He's like, well, you know, against players like that, you can sneak an extra block string with rocks if they're just going to sit there, because they're just going to sit there, right? And I was like, oh, that's true.
Take it, yeah.
Yeah. So Clock has a really good understanding of like how players behave when they're trapped, and his trap to this day is something that cannot be. I don't think any other starter player can imitate his trap. Yeah. You just can't do it. It's like the way that Clock traps is seamless, right? And the reason why it's seamless is because it's optimized to stop you in particular from escaping, right? He knows what you want to do. He's one step ahead. He's like, oh. And sometimes, like, if you don't really observe, like, if you don't play the character, you'll be like, oh, it just looks like he's calling Doom and doing a block string and throwing the eagle. But there's a reason why he's throwing the eagle, because he knows how to jump, right? If he knows you want to jump out, he'll throw the eagle as bait for you to, oh, I can maybe jump, and you get hit with the eagle, you know?
I love that, bro.
Yeah.
I love that. Perfect example of two players using the same team and using them in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
micro adjustments.
I mean,
big name of the game.
As great as he is, I've always thought that your trap was better.
Really?
Yeah. And
I was gonna bring this up exactly where you're going, Ken. What do you think differentiates Locke's Strider Doom in comparison to everyone else's? What do you think? In my opinion, he obviously is the best one.
His trap is tailored not only to offline but to online gameplay, where it's a lot easier to jump out of things. He's doing things to keep the opponent grounded. People that like to jump up or hit buttons, he's making the adjustment to keep them blocking, or they're going to get hit. because he already knows enough to adjust to what that person's going to do in their personal tendencies. Clock just had kind of a general, one size fits all trap, I guess you could say. He would make the adjustments depending on the assist, but I think that Locke's been exposed to more of the newer style, whereas Clock today would have to change things up a lot to get his game going, I guess.
Right.
That's why I've always thought that in our era, I guess you could say, the crown belongs to Andrew. Yeah. Clock paved the way, and he built on top of that.
Yeah, I couldn't have done anything without Clock.
Yeah, without Clock, obviously,
clearly.
paving the way, you wouldn't be able to do all that. But I feel like you've taken that team and you've hit levels that he probably didn't even think that you could.
Like, watching so much Clock and other Strider Doom players, like, here's the thing about Strider Doom is that to the casual observer, it looks like it's the same thing with every player, but everyone who plays Strider plays a really different way. We all play the team so
completely agree here.
Completely like opposite from each other. Like Snake from the East Coast played it way like Snake shot people. We all play so like it's so varied. So finding one Strider Doom player like is not at all like finding some other one, because there's so much you can do when you're trapping. Everyone's trap is
it's just different.
They change it up, and other players have like
bigger gaps.
What I focused on with my team was just like, okay, so Strider Doom, like Clock already showed everyone how good it could be. Like, where are the rooms for improvement? And I was like, well, I could have what does Strider need to function well? Meter. How do you get meter? You have Sentinel just destroy stuff at the beginning, come with 5 levels and just trap everything to death.
Yeah.
So in my gameplay, I really focused on that, just like making my Sentinel and it's tough because. When you have Sentinel with no anti-air or a Doom assist, you're fighting uphill battle all the time, right? So your Sentinel better be able to hang in there, get some bar, and put Strider in a good spot to win, right? Or even if he
what
dies.
Do you feel? What do you feel is the hardest matchup for you right now?
Ooh, man, probably I would say MSP, because MSP is unforgiving of mistakes.
I see.
Right? And MSP, or I'd say a 3-character team like the Stormsent Cable or something, where Strider has to deal with all 3 at some point or another. Like, if you're fighting with Strider against Santhrax and you have Commando on point, you can just throw the Tigers all day and Commando can't do anything to you. But against Stormsent Cable, if Cable comes in with meter, like, Strider all of a sudden has to use it on Cable because you can't throw animals on him, Right. So, yeah. MSP, Stormsent Cable, like the
Strider dies so fast, man.
He does.
Yeah, if you can
one reset.
If you're on the opposite side and you land a hit on Strider, you can just kill him so quick.
Yeah, he bleeds.
That's the bad part. Yeah, he bleeds very easily. I mean, Magneto's the same way, obviously, but that's your main guy on your team. You lose him, it's kind of an uphill battle. You can still come back, especially with Doom. A lot of people don't really know how to fight against a decent Doom like yours, Andy's, Worlds.
Right.
You guys are in a whole different, end of the spectrum with that character. So that's good that you have him in your pocket.
Yeah. The way that I like to think of it, if I lose Strider, my team can still function with Sentinel Doom or Doom Sentinel.
Oh,
like, it has to be able at the highest level. And the thing is, I don't think this team is fully optimized yet. Like, I think for someone to take this team to the highest level, it would take like a combination of players. Like, I would take like your Sentinel, like a World Machu Doom, and then the Clockwork Strider. That would be the highest level. But I don't know if we can get. So what I did was basically combine all the styles from different Strider players into one. Like, I watched all of them. Like, because I had the resources to watch them. I watched Snake, I watched Kai, I watched Clock. I was like, okay, I like this. I mix and match. And I moved.
Yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. The fact that you had YouTube, right? YouTube to check that. Zach D.
Dude. Shout out to Preppy.
Shout outs to Preppy for that video library, man.
Oh man, it's
without it,
treasure trove in there, man.
Absolutely, so much footage to review and just take elements from, and like you said, you take what you like, mash it all together, and here we are, right?
Even Clockwise too. Clockwise did some stuff that I like. Clockwise almost made me try Iron Man on my team.
Whatever happened to that guy?
I think he played in like 2013 for a know and then I don't know what the heck happened to him.
He just disappeared.
Like, he was really good too. Like he was. Like, I think a common a common thing is for people to be like, oh, there's like 2 people play Strider. There actually weren't. They're actually like Snake, who had Clockwise, Quicksand.
Quicksand. Yo, shout outs to Quicksand. That guy had the hottest selfies. Yeah. The hottest selfies known to man.
Shout out to Quicksand,
man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like Death Wish. you have like all these other guys, you know. So like Strider it's just like there aren't that like it's really hard to use him, you know. So that's why there's like 10 or less.
But again, I think what really sets your Strider Doom apart is, funny enough, is your Sentinel.
Yeah,
the Sentinel is just ridiculous. Like
who's Sentinel?
Andrews.
Oh, Andrews.
Yeah. His Sentinel is I mean, he was trained by
he's
Chuckster.
a beast.
Yeah,
he's a beast. He's got you have the reflies.
Yeah.
You have the. I wish. Personally, I wish that I could see more combos with Sentinel Doom.
Yeah, I'm working on those.
Just because I'm just so used to hitting him into rocks and stuff like that.
just frying pan into rocks.
Yeah. But
I hate.
There's gotta be. You know what? I'm gonna hit the lab and see if I can find out some more stuff. There's gotta be some more stuff that we can do with that team. Just because the way that I see the game now is I'm trying to touch of death from everywhere. You know, like the Josh 360 mentality where he just lands a hit on you and that's it.
Funny.
If you could do that with your team, that would be amazing.
And the closest I've come was to like having a hit with Stride in the corner, tied to Doom Infinite, Super, DSC.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Know?
That's the stuff I'm talking about. Clock wasn't doing that.
Yeah. I think that like having that in your pocket makes players more afraid of you because they know, like, if I'm playing you, for instance, I know if you touch me, I'm dead. So even if you're not close to me, I know that if you do get close, like playing against you or like any top MSP, you know, it's like, you know what they can do and that factors in how you can play. So I figured like it's the same with Strider. If I touch you with Strider in the corner and I tag you in Doom and you know,
it's a wrap.
Team's dead.
Yeah.
So I noticed once I started going for the Infinite, even though I miss it, like not most of the time, like 20% of the time I miss it. People still get hit in the corner because they're flinching. They're like, oh, please don't hit me, please don't hit me, you know. So I don't think Strider is that like it's not that his goals are not as different as other characters in the game. You know, he wants like when Strider's trapping you, he wants to hit you. If he hits you, he gets all the good stuff. You know.
Yeah, you're kind of playing the long game.
It's a long game for sure.
For me, it's different because I need the match to be over. Yeah. I'm very impatient. I just need them. I'm either going to lose quick or I'm going to win pretty quick. It's the longer the match goes, I think that's what I struggle with. If you're a runaway storm or you're trying to stay away from me, I feel like that's where I struggle because I'm just trying to come on. Let's
just get this on.
Yeah. So with your team, it requires a lot of patience, man, and it's very admirable because not a lot of us have that patience for that.
And Strider unfortunately has to play that long game because he can't one-touch kill you, so he has to trap you perfectly over and over and or land a hit. Yeah. Right. And if you can't do that, then it's tough.
Absolutely, man. And we're talking years of trial and error with this. Countless matchups, you know, wins and losses, and you wouldn't be where you're at today without going through those match situations that you run into.
Right. Yeah. Those rivalries too. Especially going up against Team Matrix. A lot of experience that he had against Team Matrix. I mean, he just touched on it earlier saying that he's like, I hope Chris Schmidt picks Team Matrix, which would normally be a counter pick to his team. And yet he was like, oh yeah, please pick that. Like he's so used to the matchup.
Oh, please pick that.
Please pick that.
It wasn't so much like please pick that, but I knew that he was an MSP player and I knew he didn't play that team. So I wanted to take him.
Comfortable with it.
I wanted to take him. If he was going to pick something that's out of his comfort zone,
out of his element,
I'm all for it. You know.
Yeah. Can we talk about your match with you and Sanford? Your long set.
Yeah. So Sanford, basically in the tournament, I lost to Sanford, right?
Yeah.
And he started out with Thrax, and I did pretty good against Thrax. But once he brought out Storm Sent Cable, like there's, in my opinion, 2 people on the planet who can play that team well, and that's Potter and Sanford. That's you know.
So it wasn't a first to 10, right? It was tournament.
No, in tournament, and then afterwards at BlueJ's.
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay,
at BlueJ's. That's what I'm referring to. So you guys decided. Was it just on the spot, or did he?
Yeah, on the spot.
Okay.
Like, I was hanging out with Sanford the whole weekend.
Because that's like your first big, high profile setup against one of the OG Titans, I guess, if you want to say. How did you feel?
Like, so I will say that match, coming out of that match, I came out of the match like so much improved from how I was before going to the match, because Sanford, what I admire so much about Sanford is that he has a will to win. Like, he will fight. If you look at the match, the how he won, he basically he knew exactly what he had to do at any point to win the match.
Yep.
and remove my win condition so that he would win. Like, Sanford is very smart.
Yeah.
So coming out of the match, I was really improved as a player, and I thank him for that. But it just happened on the spot. We had been like hanging out the whole weekend, and he said we should play, and he'll pick MSS, right?
Yeah.
I was like, that's cool. Like, so he picked MSS the whole time. So the fact he can beat me with MSS Rocket Punch just shows how good Sanford was, you know. And I started out kind of slow, but then like I realized I had to play up to Sanford's level. So that set, you can see me moving faster and faster and faster just to keep up with him.
That's what we're talking about, man. Oh, the final score was
10-9.
10-9. Razor thin, dude.
Yeah.
Razor thin set.
Basically right down to the wire.
If you would have won that set, I think that there would have been more attention towards. He would have wanted to run back, I think.
Yeah, for
right
sure.
Away. You didn't want to run it back with him right then and there?
No, not really. I was exhausted from that set.
It does sound like it would be an excruciating set to try and do the trap for 10 straight games, right? Or 19, I should say.
19, actually, yeah.
Yeah, but he picked MSS Rocket Punch. I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, Sanford has an MSS. Like, it would be different. I will say, if he picked Storm Sun Cable, it would not have been that close, because Sanford and Potter using that team is a tough matchup. But you know, like, Sanford is a competitor, man, and he really brought out the best of me in that set.
Yeah.
Right? So I go back and watch that now and then and see like how he's playing, and I'm like, there's certain points where I'm like, I have never done something like that since then, and I don't know why I did that, but it worked then. You know, like there's a point in a game where everything is just flowing well. Like I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Every movement you make is on point. You're hitting every combo you have to. Your spacing is immaculate.
Hit that flow state.
Yeah. But you have to play someone who brings it out in you, right? Yeah. You have to. So
I know what you mean, man. Against Sanford, I feel like my gameplay is just, it has to be on point. One thing, I mean, say what a lot of people have their opinions on Sanford as a player, as a person, whatever, but I will always respect him sitting down and wanting to play no matter who you are. He doesn't care about he knows what he's done. We know what he's accomplished as a player.
Yeah.
So for him to sit down and play players like me, you know, back then in 2013, he said, he was the one that approached me and said, hey, you know, we have to play. Like, we have to play. And
it's awesome.
Not everybody has that mentality because they're trying to protect their legacy, or they're afraid to take the L because, you know,
it would somehow erase.
I'm rusty. I'm not in shape, or whatever the case is. He's always been, no, we're gonna hop on the sticks and we're gonna play a set. We're gonna play another set. We're gonna play, like, you know what I mean? So I'll always respect that. I'll always respect Justin for playing. I mean, he plays Fight Kid all the time, right? So I'll always respect these guys for being approachable in that sense and sharing their tech and advice with us and all that. Because not everybody's like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. And Sanford even gave me tips afterwards. Like, after we played, he's like, yo, with your Sentinel, you have to do this more, and you should stop doing this. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I got tips from Sanford. And nothing that Sanford can play all he wants, and nothing he's done in the past will ever be undone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All those guys who made their mark on the scene in the quote-unquote prime days, it'll never be undone, no matter what happens, in my opinion. So for him to keep playing is like, I appreciate that, because I can't play Sanford. Like I said, I can't go back in time to play Sanford, but I can play him now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If you ran it back with him today, do you think the set would be different?
Oh, man. I would hope so. I think he might pick Storm Sun Cable, though. It depends. Like, if I don't really like have that competitive mindset at this moment right now.
Not right now.
I've been online too much. You know what that shit does to you.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no beef with me and Sanford. I know people might be listening, hear this and be like, "Oh, like Lockdown versus Sanford." It's like, no, dude. Next time I run into Sanford, I'd love to play him.
Yeah, no, beef doesn't have to exist for you to run a set.
Yeah.
As a competitor, though, you know, I have to differentiate you as a person versus you as a player. That's just how I am, and I'm sure Sanford's the same way. Yeah. He'll play you. He's going to get in that ass.
Yeah.
But afterwards, like you said, he's the kind of guy that'll shake your hand and say, "Man, I was worried when you did this," or, you know, "I think you'd do better if you tried this approach." Yeah. You know what I mean?
And it meant a lot to me that he told me I was good. Like, he was just like,
yeah,
you know, good stuff. You were godlike. He said that, and I was like, wow.
To get validation from a top player like that, I mean, it means a lot.
Yeah,
it did mean a lot. All
right, brother. So we are heading towards the closing ends of episode 3. There's a couple things that I do want to touch base on before we kind of wrap it up. We're going to go over our patented segment, the run back. Okay, Couple questions. The first one would be if you had to take an L from the past. I know that we talked about Sanford, the Sanford one, but if you had to take an L from the past and run it back with what you know now today, 1st to 10 in front of the main stage, or actually I should say on the main stage in front of the thousands in attendance, who would you want to run it back with?
Sanford.
Oh,
That's my answer.
Oh.
Because like I feel like I did play Sanford on the main stage, and it wasn't too big for me, but I felt like I went out there to play Mike Infinite, right? And the fact that I played Sanford, I was like, well, I have to play Sanford? Like,
yeah.
And the thing is, I played with Potter so much before that. Never once did I ask him to pick Storm Sent Cable. So I was kind of kicking myself, like, if I had known, I would ask Potter to pick Storm Sent Cable on me. But I felt like, I was unprepared for Sanford in particular. So yeah.
Right on. So you would do Sanford now. That's from the current round of players. Is there anybody from when you first started that you'd want to run back with and say, hey man, me and you 1st to 10, we're gonna do it right now on the CRT?
Freestyle.
Oh,
yeah, freestyle. So for those of you who don't know, freestyle is a SD OG. He used to play a lot, and he was always cool to me. But then for some reason over the last few years, he hasn't been that cool towards me. Like he's been, every time there's a YouTube clip of me, he's like up there saying that I suck or whatever, which is weird because he was always like super nice to me back then. So
things change, man. I don't know why that is, because it's happened to me also. I just feel like people that come from the same place, if they stay the same and they see you kind of on the rise or whatever, they don't want to see that. It's unfortunate, but it does happen, because until we called him out on it, he thought that he was just okay to just try to run you down. I mean, I saw it myself in the comments, in the YouTube comments. So I'm glad that we got that out of the way, because you're on a whole different level, bro, from anybody.
At least right now.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you were going to call it Shady K or...
No, not Shady. No.
Okay, so that's your run back. We do have some questions from the community, from the Marvel 2 community that I want to knock out. No Channel from YouTube, LOL. He says, in your opinion, who has the best Doom on the planet?
Oh man, this is a tough question. All right, I'll be honest. I can't pick one because there's things I like about everyone's Doom.
You have to pick one, bro. You got to pick one.
Let me just go over what I like about everyone's Doom.
Okay.
It'll be quick.
Okay.
So Andy Doom is the bravest Doom. Andy Doom, like, he has assists that back up Doom the best.
Yes.
And he's fearless with Doom.
Yes.
And he has really good spacing with Doom. He has good reads with Doom. If you try to jump fierce him, he'll jump him and do the pink shit to snipe you.
Do the pink shit.
World Matchu has like the most technical Doom. He can do everything a Doom can do. Sweet Rock Super on deck.
Yeah.
His movement is amazing with Dr. Doom. He's so fast with Doom. He knows how to poke with Doom. I would say Clock has a really great Doom. Clock is probably the most freestyle with Doom. He'll use all of Doom's tools. Like, Clock varies his tools based on matchup. Like, you see him do certain things in certain matchups. Like, against Storm, for instance. He's the only Doom that I see when Storm runs, he jumps to the top of the team and flies and fierces her. A lot of other Dooms don't really do that. So
Right.
Clockwork knows all the matchup stuff. So if I had to pick one, oh man, that's tough. I'd probably pick World. Just because World.
Shout outs to World, man.
Shout outs to Daryl for upping the game with that. Second question is from Edward Colon from YouTube. He asks, what do you see players constantly doing wrong when trying to get out of the trap?
Don't get hit. You got to block, because if Strider touches you, he gets another bar and like 2 extra traps.
And speaking from experience, guys, if you get hit, that's a wrap from the trap.
Yeah, don't get hit.
Yeah. Let's see. K West for Life from YouTube. He says, what exactly made you want to roll with Strider, Sentinel, Doom instead of other top tier teams?
So, as I mentioned, ninjas are freaking cool, dude. And I don't I enjoy playing Strider. Like, I actually really enjoy playing him. I know he's not, like, I heard of people say my talent at this game is wasted on a character like Strider because I have a Sentinel. But at the same time, I feel like I don't enjoy playing other characters as much as him. Like, because I don't see Strider as just a trap character. He can do a bit of everything. He can rush down. He can throw stuff at you.
Yeah.
Teleport. He can do all this stuff. And a trap is just icing on the cake. But to me, I feel like the way that I view him as a character is pretty open-ended, right? The trap is awesome and everything, but I just had the most fun playing him, and the best team for him is that team.
And at the end of the day, I think that you said it perfectly. well, you love ninjas, right?
I love ninjas.
But he feels great when you're controlling him. So the game, I think, is what you like. You play the game the way you want to play it, and if it feels like it feels great, if it works for you, then what else is there to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like the character just flows great when it's in your hands.
Yeah, it just feels right to me.
Yeah.
The team just feels right to me.
And that's all that matters, because your results and your track record speaks for itself, man. That's what it's all about. Do you have any closing statements for the community? Anybody that's looking to get into the game? Anybody that's listening, do you have any words of encouragement? Anything that you want to get off your chest?
Any shout outs?
First of all, thanks to you guys for having me. I haven't seen you guys in a while, like I said, and it's been awesome. So I appreciate you having me on this podcast. Shout out to all my friends. Shout out to Duck Doe, man. Duck Doe. When 2018 came around, I started playing with Duck, and Duck really whipped him into shape in terms of training.
The legend himself.
I've been blessed to be able to study under so many top players. Like, someone I didn't mention that I wanted to was Krizzle. Krizzle actually taught me a lot. Before bots, I know I played with Krizzle back in the day, but before bots, I played with Krizzle. He gave me like the best advice in MVC2 I've ever gotten, and it carried me far. Like, his advice, since I know everyone's going to ask, his advice is like, if you have one character left at the end, even if they're full health, you messed up. You have to fight as much as you can to keep your team alive, because if you keep your team alive, anything is possible, right?
That's true.
And I was like, it sounds like such dumb advice, right?
No, it's solid.
And it's just like, I was like, okay, he's like, he's like, a Pixel Strider, Sentinel, and Doom is better than a full life Doctor Doom. Don't forget that. And then I was like, okay, so Krizzle really helped me a lot.
Really good advice,
Solid
man.
advice, man.
Yeah, because imagine like with your team, if you have Iron Man alive, guard break infinite, and
Correct.
you win.
Correct.
So since then, I started focus on keeping my team alive.
Anything could happen, man.
And to all the new dudes out there, like, we all started where you are now. Everyone you see now who achieved anything in this game was once you. At the end of this podcast, you know that I was in your shoes before, you know, trying to learn. But now you have access to all these resources, so please use them. If you want to play this game, go wholeheartedly into this game, you know, because it is an experience. It is a journey. You'll make the best friends you've ever had. Don't let anyone tell you it doesn't matter, because it does. What you do in this game matters.
And if you, for all the newcomers, if you're worried about equipment, just know that you can still access the game once again on PC, on computer. There's emulators that you can use. All of your new age equipment for the PS4, for Xbox One, whatever the case is, these sticks are compatible. So you can get started through PC, and then eventually, once you have access to the older consoles, for Dreamcast, you can work your way down if you want to. But anybody can pick up the game at any time. You can record your own content. I mean, we're living in an era that's truly blessed when it comes to Marvel 2.
Yes,
absolutely. So don't be discouraged. As Andrew said, we're accessible. You can reach us. As far as Lockdown, you'll find all of the links below for his social media. You can find him at twitch.tv/lockdown87. That's lock, LOC. YouTube Lockdown, and Twitter Lockdown87. Hit him shoot him a follow. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn the notifications on, because he's going to be posting up that hot Strider ninja content that you guys crave. Anything else, brother?
No, that's it.
All right, guys. Ivan, anything else?
Yeah, well, shout outs to Locke, man. Thank you for coming by and being a guest on our show. It was a pleasure having you and catching up, man. It's always great memories. Hope everybody had a good time on the podcast. Love to see you on the next one.
All right, guys. And the next episode should be coming up soon. I'm trying to keep these more consistent instead of a once-a-month basis. So just stay tuned. Hit us up with the comments. If you have anything else for Locke, make sure you comment. And Locke, thanks again, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Dude, 2 years, man. I can't believe
yeah.
It's been 2 years since I've seen you, bro.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get some games in soon, and I'll catch you on the next one, all right?
For sure.
All right, guys. Thanks for
everyone.
listening. Take care.